Hey third graders, welcome to our next purpose as readers today. I can ask and answer questions. I can identify key details to determine the main idea. So as we're reading our expository text today, we will be asking questions and looking for the answers, and we will also be identifying key details to determine what is the author's main idea of that section. Here's our essential question. How do landmarks help us to understand our country's story? Here is your to-do for today. Watch this mini lesson. Read and record the National Mall on your Reading Wonders backpack. And then complete workbook page, October 14th, Wednesday and Thursday, key detail, main idea. Now, as a reader, we ask ourselves, how do I identify the main idea? And as a reader, there are certain strategies I like to use to help me identify the main idea. One, I use the headings. The headings are very important. They give us a clue to what that whole section is going to be about. We'll look at that closely in our text today. Then, we can use the sentences in each section. We can connect the sentence to the heading, which is a clue to what that whole section is about. And also, there's going to be repeated ideas that connect to that heading. Once we identify those repeated ideas and sentences that connect to the heading, we ask ourselves, what do the key details have in common? So, who or what is the section about? That's what the details will have in common. Then we ask ourselves, so what about the who or what? So what do they have in common? Let's look at how we're going to do that as readers and get right into the text. Here we are in our expository text, Unnatural Beauty. This is the title of the text. It's introducing our topic, the natural beauty of the Grand Canyon. Since we've already read this text for the gist or the flow, identifying the genre, we are now going to close read this section, Exploring the Canyon. Now, we said as third graders, one strategy is to identify the headings. The headings give us a clue to what that section is going to be about. Exploring the Canyon gives us a clue that this next section with these two paragraphs are going to be telling us about people exploring the canyon. Maybe why they explore the canyon, or who explores the canyon, or how they explore the canyon. Those are questions that we can ask and read on to find the details. I know this is a heading because the letters are in different color. Sometimes the letters will be darker than the text in the paragraphs or the words that are in the paragraph. Sometimes the letters will be larger. These letters are larger than the words in the paragraph. So that tells me that this is a heading, one of our expository text features that we identified on Tuesday. Let's read Exploring the Canyon to answer who explores the canyon, or why are we exploring the canyon, or how. Many tourists visit the Grand Canyon. In fact, almost 5 million people take a trip to this national treasure each year. I already answered one of my questions. Who explores the canyon? Tourists explore the canyon. Almost 5 million people take a trip to this national treasure each year. Let's read on. People come from around the world to hike the dusty trails. Here's another answer to my who question. They take boat rides down the Colorado River. They gaze across miles of massive red and brown cliffs. Okay, here's my why do people explore the canyon? So that they can take boat rides down the Colorado River, so that they can gaze across miles of massive red and brown cliffs. How do they explore? They hike the dusty trails. They take a boat ride. Nature lovers visit the Grand Canyon too. They come to look for animals. They peek at the hundreds of different kinds of plants. They may spot eagles and see mountain lions. They may spy snakes and spiders. And some may even see bats. Some visitors also come to learn about the canyon's history. Again, there's answers to my who question. Nature lovers. Why do they come? To look for animals. Well, as a reader, I like to highlight key details or sentences that connect to my heading. I also like to look for those repeated ideas. So here in the heading is exploring. We're going to circle exploring. We then have canyon. We know that these two ideas are going to be very important when looking for repeated ideas or key details. Exploring, tourists, that connects to exploring. So there's a repeated idea because tourists explore. Canyon, Grand Canyon, that connects to canyon in the heading. 5 million people take a trip to this national treasure each year. The Grand Canyon is a national treasure. That's a repeated idea. People come from around the world to hike the dusty trails. Hiking. That connects to exploring. They take boat rides. Boat rides. That connects to exploring and tourists and hiking. Colorado River connects to the Grand Canyon because where does the Colorado River travel through? It travels right through the Grand Canyon. They gaze across miles of massive red and brown cliffs. Gazing across miles, that connects to exploring. Red and brown cliffs, that connects to canyon. Exploring, tourists, nature lovers. There's a repeated idea. Grand Canyon, there's that repeated idea that connects to canyon in our heading. They come to look for animals. Exploring has to do with looking. So look for animals. I have enough information now to go back to my graphic organizer to record these key details. So as I go back to my graphic organizer, I'm thinking about that heading and those repeated ideas that all connect. They have something in common. Let's record those ideas on our graphic organizer. So we close read exploring the canyon. Again, that heading is very important when identifying key details to determine the main idea. Our details in our section will always connect to exploring the canyon. Who's exploring the canyon? What about exploring the canyon? So we had some key details. We identified that people come from around the world to hike the dusty trails. So we're going to record those key details. People hike the trails and take boat rides down the river. This key detail shows who is exploring the canyon, and it also shows how people are exploring the canyon, hiking the trails, taking boat rides down the river. Our next key detail connects directly to people, and in place of people, the author used the words they, like to gaze across the massive red and brown cliffs. That connects to exploring the canyon. How are people exploring the canyon? They're gazing across the massive red and brown cliffs. They're looking, once they're at the cliffs, they're looking out into the canyon. So that shows us a key detail that connects directly to that heading. Very important to think how our sentences connect directly to the heading of that section. Our next key detail connects to people and they. Remember, third graders, we're looking for those repeated ideas. Well, here's a repeated connection. Nature lover. A nature lover, those are people. They can take the place of nature lover. And how does it connect to our heading, exploring the canyon? Nature lovers come to see animals and plants. So they're exploring the canyon by looking for animals and plants. So now we have to ask ourselves, who or what is this section about? That will help us determine the main idea. Our main idea has to be a complete sentence. And in grammar, we're learning that complete sentences have subjects and predicates. So we need the who or what, that subject. So who or what? People. Well, so what about the people? The people are all, look at this heading, exploring the canyon. And now we have to think, what do all these details have in common? How are they exploring the canyon? Well, these people go on boat rides and hike. These people gaze across the cliffs. And these people like to see animals and plants. They're exploring for different reasons. Many people, that's our who or what, like to explore the Grand Canyon, that's connecting to our heading, for different reasons. Here's the examples. Boat rides, gazing across the cliffs, to see animals and plants. Third graders, we have just asked and answered questions while we were close reading, and then recorded our key details, and we asked ourselves about those key details. Who or what is the section telling us about? And so what about that subject? So what about those key details to determine the main idea? All right, third graders, it's your turn now. Enjoy reading National Mall.